Okay, let's unpack this. We're living in a world where artificial intelligence, well, it isn't some far-off idea anymore, is it? It's basically woven into almost everything we do digitally.
It really is. Phones, cars, even our emails. But what's truly amazing, I think, is how fast AI has just blown past these milestones, these sort of intellectual goalposts humans set for it.
Exactly. If you look back, like, at the history of AI research, it's just littered with predictions about things machines could never do.
hmm We've consistently underestimated the speed of progress. It's a pattern.
Yeah, and the core message in all the source material we looked at is pretty clear. Don't bet against AI's progress. If you try to define its limits based only on what it can do today, you're probably going to end up being wrong.
That's a safe bet.
So our mission today isn't really about crystal ball gazing. It's about using these sources to figure out the current real limits of the tech. We need to sort of map out what's genuinely mission accomplished versus what's still out there on the research frontier.
Okay, and to talk about limits, we probably need a framework, right, to understand what we're even aiming for. The data, information, knowledge, wisdom pyramid, the DIKW pyramid, is pretty useful here. It helps map the journey.
Right. Data is just raw facts, numbers, whatever. Information gives it context, basic computing stuff.
Exactly. We can probably skip a deep dive on those first two.
Good. So let's jump to knowledge. This feels like where AI really starts to flex its muscles.
It is. Knowledge is basically information plus interpretation. So
Yeah.
think about it like this. A database holds information, sure, but an AI system starts generating knowledge when it interprets patterns in that data.
Okay, like spotting trends.
Yeah, or like noticing that certain stock trades usually happen right before a market dip. That's finding a pattern, interpreting it. That's knowledge generation. Modern AI is really good at this.
And then at the very, very top of this pyramid, the ultimate destination.
That's wisdom. And wisdom is, well, it's applied knowledge. It's judgment. It's not just seeing the pattern. It's using that understanding in a totally new situation, maybe one it wasn't programmed for, to make a good decision.
So it involves things like ethics or knowing what's appropriate.
Precisely. Ethical judgment, subjective judgment, acting wisely based on complex, maybe even conflicting knowledge. That top layer, wisdom, that's kind of the benchmark for all the limits we're going to talk about.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Looking back, we used to think certain things were uniquely human abilities only we had, but history just keeps proving us wrong. These limits turned out to be temporary.
Absolutely. And the breakthroughs weren't just about getting faster computers. They were genuine leaps in what machines could sort of do cognitively.
Okay, like reasoning and complex problem solving. People thought strategy, especially dynamic, real-time strategy, was just too human.
Right. And then came Deep Blue, 1997,
Yeah.
beating Garry Kasparov, the world chess grandmaster.
That wasn't just a fast calculator, was it?
Not at all. Deep Blue's win showed that serious strategic reasoning, thinking moves ahead, weighing possibilities, complex planning, could actually be automated.
Yeah.
It shattered that barrier. And
Uh.
that principle, it's everywhere now. Logistics, resource management.
Okay, then there was the huge challenge of natural language processing, NLP. Understanding nuance. Human language is so messy. Idioms, sarcasm, context. You can't just write rules for all that.
Definitely messy.
Hmm.
Early attempts like Eliza were, let's be honest, pretty basic. Fun, but basic.
Yeah.
The big leap, I think everyone agrees, was IBM's Watson winning Jeopardy back in 2011.
Right. Jeopardy requires understanding puns, wordplay, tricky clues.
Exactly. Watson had to actually grasp the meaning behind the words, not just match keywords. It wasn't following some simple script. It showed it could understand semantics. A huge step.
And what about creativity? There's still that argument that AI just mashes up existing stuff, right? That it can't be truly original.
Well, the sources push back on that pretty hard. Yes, human artists are influenced by what came before, too. Massively so. But modern generative AI, it can create genuinely novel things. Think about science, material science, drug discovery.
Okay.
AI can propose molecular structures, chemical compounds that never existed before, solutions humans might not have even thought of. So it's not just remixing old tunes. Sometimes it feels like it's writing music in a key we didn't even know was possible.
That's a powerful analogy. Okay, and one more past limit. Real-time perception. That used to be pure sci-fi.
And now, it's in self-driving cars, automated warehouses. It's becoming almost mundane in a way. These systems have to perceive incredibly complex, fast-moving environments. They anticipate, they calculate, they navigate in fractions of a second.
So that barrier between pure logic and interacting with the messy real world, it's basically gone.
Effectively, yes, that particular wall has crumbled.
Incredible progress. but that progress creates new challenges, doesn't it? So while those old limits are history, we've got some pretty significant roadblocks right now, especially with these modern generative AI systems. What are researchers really grappling with today?
Yeah, there are definitely big hurdles. Two stand out. First, the limits around simulating emotional intelligence, or EQ. Today's chatbots, they're fantastic at mimicking human moods. They can sound empathetic, adjust their tone.
Right, so if I type something sad, it can generate a response that sounds caring.
Exactly, it sounds caring, but it's replicating behavior,
Right.
not having an internal experience. It doesn't feel sadness.
Okay, so the challenge is going beyond just simulation to something more like genuine understanding or feeling.
Precisely. It can nail the output of EQ, but it lacks that internal state we connect with consciousness or actual emotion.
Okay, that makes sense. And the second big challenge, the one that probably frustrates users the most, hallucinations.
Oh, definitely. Hallucinations are. Well, it's when the AI confidently states something that's just plain wrong, factually incorrect.
How does that happen?
It's basically predicting the next most likely word or sequence of words based on its training data. If that data is weak, contradictory, or just missing on a topic, it essentially fabricates an answer that sounds plausible,
But it can be wildly incorrect.
shockingly wrong sometimes, and delivered with total confidence, which is the tricky part. Delusional is a good word for it sometimes.
Are we making progress on fixing that beyond just throwing more data at bigger models?
Yes, absolutely. There are specific techniques being developed to try and anchor these models in reality. One big one is retrieval augmented generation, or AIR.
Air. Okay, how does that work, roughly?
Think of it like giving the AI an open textbook or a verified knowledge base before it answers. It checks its facts against that trusted source instead of just relying on its massive but sometimes flawed internal memory.
Okay. Like letting it look up the answer first.
Sort of, yeah. And we're also seeing things like mixture of experts using different specialized AIs for parts of a problem and chaining of models where multiple AIs check each other's work.
So combining forces to reduce the chance of a mistake.
Exactly. It helps reduce the probability of those confident fabrications, though it's definitely not a solved problem yet.
Okay, so if we assume these technical issues like hallucinations and EQ simulation are being worked on, maybe slowly solved, what are the truly fundamental boundaries, the philosophical ones that are still firmly in place today, the hard limits looking ahead,
Well, the big one is artificial general intelligence, AGI.
the holy grail?
That's it. A single system that's as smart as a person across all kinds of tasks. Reasoning, perceiving the world in real time, social interaction, physical tasks, doing it all together.
And we don't have that now. We have specialized AI.
All right, we have AI that's superhuman at playing Go or writing text or analyzing medical scans, but we don't have one system that can write a sonnet, then fix a leaky faucet, then navigate a tricky social dinner.
So AGI is still definitely future tense.
Very much so. And beyond that, you have artificial superintelligence, ASI, AI smarter than humans in every single way. That's still firmly science fiction.
Okay, what else? Are there other big hard limits?
There's a very practical, very real one. Sustainability.
The cost and energy.
Exactly. Training and running these huge models is incredibly expensive. They use enormous amounts of electricity, need massive data centers with complex cooling. If the only path forward is just building bigger and bigger models, we hit a wall. It becomes economically unsustainable and environmentally questionable.
So the future has to be about smarter, more efficient models, not just bigger.
It has to be. Focusing on better architecture, maybe finding the right size model for the job, not just the largest possible one. That's a major research direction.
That feels like a very real-world constraint. And thinking philosophically again, it brings us back to the top of that DIKW pyramid, right? Wisdom and judgment.
Yes, this might be the biggest long-term hurdle. It breaks down into a couple of key things. First, common sense.
The stuff we just know about the world.
Exactly. Like knowing that if you drop a glass, it falls and might break. Knowing water is wet. Knowing you can't be in two places at once. This unspoken fundamental understanding of how the physical and social world works.
How do you even begin to program that? It's so vast and often unstated.
It's incredible. Exactly. That gap between simulation and genuine feeling, or qualia, as philosophers might call it, seems like a fundamental barrier, maybe even an insurmountable one with our current approaches.
Okay. So if we accept that things like true feeling, real common sense, and certainly AGI are still, years away, maybe longer, what does that tell us about how we should be using AI right now? Where's the smart play in this human AI partnership?
That's the critical question, I think.
Hmm.
History shows us that trying to compete head-on where AI is strong is usually a losing game. The value comes from figuring out the partnership.
Dividing the labor based on strengths?
Precisely. Humans should focus on the what and the
I
why,
mean,
meaning we set the overall goal, the macro-level objective. What are we trying to achieve? And even more importantly, why are we trying to achieve it? Establishing the purpose, the meaning behind the task.
because without purpose.
The work is just meaningless optimization, right? Purpose gives it direction and value. That's fundamentally human.
Okay, so humans define the goal and the reason. What does AI excel at then?
The how and the doing. Once the what and why are said, AI is brilliant at figuring out the steps needed to the micro goals and then actually doing the task, automating the execution.
Faster, more efficiently?
Much faster, often cheaper, and sometimes finding optimal paths a human wouldn't see. The best partnership is where humans provide the direction and purpose, and the AI handles the efficient execution. We control the tool by defining its purpose.
So what does this all mean if we wrap this up? The big takeaway from this deep dive seems to be, don't get too hung up on AI's current limits. History suggests they tend to be temporary roadblocks.
They often are. The goalposts keep moving.
Right. So the future isn't necessarily about AI replacing us across the board, but more about redefining our own roles, focusing our human intelligence where it counts most.
Which is back at the top of that pyramid: judgment, purpose, wisdom. AI's rise doesn't have to diminish human intelligence. It challenges us to apply it more effectively.
Okay, here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on after this. If getting to AGI means that AI needs to truly master common sense and subjective judgment, those really tricky wisdom layer concepts, how well do we, as humans, actually understand and define those concepts for ourselves before we can even hope to teach them to a machine? Something to think about. All right, we've gone pretty deep into the limits and the potential future of AI today, but now we really want to hear from you. What uses of AI today genuinely surprise you the most? And looking ahead, which bit of that AGI puzzle, common sense, judgment, maybe even the sustainability challenge do you think might get cracked first? Let us know your thoughts, your ideas, your suggestions down in the comments below. We do read them. And hey, if you found this deep dive helpful or interesting, please give this video a like. It really helps us out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more deep dives like this one, and definitely hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Oh, and please share this video with anyone else you think might find it useful. Help keep everyone informed. Thanks for tuning in.